So today on Cool Cars with Chris, we're discussing why do luxury vehicles lose 30% of their value in the first year? What? Also, we're talking about a little three-cylinder that could, yes, a three-cylinder engine that cranks out 300 horsepower. We'll check that out. And of course, topping it off, if you are doing any kind of rideshare service, Uber, Uber Eats, any of that kind of stuff, you probably do not want to be leasing your car. If you're doing that, you'll find out why. All that and more on this episode. Let's go. Okay, I got Courage, we'll call you the international car show traveler, dude. Man, you're going to all the places, seeing all the things, going all around the world. Man, how's it going, buddy?
I like that title. I should get a little placard or something for that. But I'm doing good. It's always a pleasure to get on and talk some cars with you, Chris.
I get my royalty rights, of course. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you get those.
Dude, but how you been, man? Since we've been gone for a while. I know the audience doesn't know that because the show's been rolling the entire time. But how you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, the show's been rolling through the holidays. I listened to all of the episodes, and so it's cool to see that consistency. But been good. Holidays have gone and come and gone, and we're getting back to the normalcy of everything. But can't complain.
Back to work, back to the grind, back to school, back to doing the normal things. Welcome to 2026. Do you feel any different? Do you feel older at all?
A little bit, mainly. Well, I survived. We survived a late, New Year's celebration. Normally, we would just do the 9 o'clock, the 9 o'clock celebration, and then go to sleep after. But we actually stayed up till 12 this time around. So I guess you can say I felt a little bit younger this time around.
Well, there you go. There you go. So moving into 2026. Are there any particular type of cars that you have your eye on? Maybe new, probably obviously new cars that are coming out. You're like, man, dude, I really want one of those.
Yeah. No, I mean, I obviously shared with you that I went to the San Diego Auto Show, and I also went to the LA Auto Show a little bit earlier in the year, a month prior. And, been around some of the new car offerings to see what they have. Me personally, I know that I'm not necessarily looking to buy a new car this year, but there are some ones that are pretty exciting that honestly, I'm one of those that hunts for the most depreciated value in the next couple of years. And knowing what's coming out now, I'm like, okay, what's going to be the gem in 2 to 3 years that I can get for a way better price than I can get it for now. And so I do have a couple. We can go ahead and dive in. But
I think if you're looking to buy a car, you don't really want to hear that. You don't want to hear my car is going to be worth crap, a lot less.
That is true.
Than I paid for it when I paid top dollar. Now I do get it that some cars and some particular automakers mark up their vehicle way beyond MSRP. They'll have their regular price and they'll have a dealer price. I remember when the Mustangs were coming out with their, I think GT350 came out. Yeah. And I looked at those, and the Ford, from the website was set a certain price, but you go to the dealership, it was like 50 grand more. Some ridiculous overprice on those things. So if you were to buy it, say 50 grand over, and it does depreciate back to normal or whatever, it's still really technically worth a lot less than that. So what you're looking at is you want a car that's awesome, but yet you want somebody else to pay the full price for it. So when you get it, when it comes down to you, you're just you get a sweet little deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't have. There are some. I will say there's some ones that are just straight up just sad cases of like you said, you're losing 50 grand in value in a couple of years, and those obviously for people that are hunting for those deals they're happy about, but it really does kind of suck to be on the front end of that for sure. I think there are cars now though they're priced reasonably well for the season that we're in. Just everything's expensive, but they're priced well that might just depreciate maybe say 5-10 grand or something like that, which still maybe sounds like a lot, but I mean maybe a slightly better value than buying it new right now. There is 1 or 2 cars on that list that I got in mind right now that actually are probably good values even now, that I would say probably might hold their value just because of the interest level that people have in those types of cars. So I won't go full used car hunting guy on this one. I'll definitely give some decent value ones too.
But do you think the cars that are probably top tier. I wouldn't mean like top tier. I mean like, closer to 100 grand per car. Do you think those lose the most value the fastest, or do they hold on to their value? I just think those seem to fall. Well, it depends on the brand, I guess. But like Range Rover, for example, heard those fall. Some Mercedes, some BMWs, they seem to fall fast. But I don't have the stats in front of me. But I know that some cars, like say a Toyota, they're usually known for their value. They're usually known for holding their reliability longer than say like, Mercedes or something like that. And I was kind of wondering if those fall slower price-wise.
Yeah, that is a good question. To be honest, like I mean, just personally, and I don't have I don't have any hard and fast stats on this either, but I feel like really anything in that luxury realm, like you mentioned Range Rovers and, even BMWs and Mercedes and, different things, just cars in that luxury realm, I feel like tend to hit that depreciation curve a lot harder, mainly just because the technology is always changing. Like the offerings are always changing so quickly that tech from 2 years ago from some of these brands, people, once you move to the next generation, they want the latest tech. And so a 2-year-old model of that car is not offering the same level of tech, and therefore people don't really want to pay as much for them. And, I feel like in the luxury realm where nowadays the thing that people are looking for is tech, you're obviously going to want the latest and greatest. And so again, as you go down those years and, have less, on cutting edge tech, people are going to just want to pay less for it. So, I feel like maybe the commodity economy type cars probably end up having less depreciation percentage wise because you're already not really getting as much maybe at that price point, which, again, maybe that's not what you're looking for. You really don't care about all of the tech features. So that's maybe not a bad thing. But I think once you get into, like you said, those higher $100,000 plus cars, the tech progression it kind of works against them. Like that tech was cool this year, but it's probably not the next, the 2 years, from there. And so people are just more inclined to say like, I'm just going to get a new model versus the used. And therefore those used values start to taper off. But that's just my thought without any full on statistics to prove it.
Well, do you ever watch like the leases? Like a lot of those cars a lot of luxury cars are lease models for the most part. Even if people have the money to buy a car cash, they'll just lease them because they don't have to deal with, all those issues coming up or whatever. They just run the lease, turn it in, whatever. And then those leases end up going to their certified pre-owned selection they have at like Lexus and BMW, Mercedes. They call them like certified pre-owned or what they call them, I think. And you pick it up for like usually like half the price of what it was new. If it runs, say, 30, 40,000 miles by the time it turns in for a lease, when they turn it in or whatever. And you might buy, say, a BMW that originally was like, 70 grand. You might get it for 35 grand on the used market, and it may have, 40,000 miles on it or whatever. But those do run into problems, though. Everybody I've ever known who's owned a BMW that's gotten around the 50, 60, 70,000 mile mark, problems. So that's something you have to be aware of, too, if you're looking in picking up a used lease, usually on a luxury car. It may sound great. Oh, great, I get this BMW for 30 grand. It was 70 grand brand new. Let's check that out. Yeah, win-win, right? Who wouldn't do that, right? But if you don't know anything,
you're out of warranty.
They'll sell you an extended warranty. But then that extended warranty will say things like, "Oh, dude, that's not covered.
You got some limitations. Yeah,
that ain't covered. Come on now, get out of here with that."
I did a little bit of Googling while you were talking through that, and I think pretty much both of us sort of hit the top 3 nails on the head of what's listed out too when you talk about kind of luxury car depreciation. And one stat that stuck out is that typically like luxury cars in that higher initial cost realm can depreciate up to between 20 and 30% in their first year alone in depreciation.
And what about like a Toyota or something?
Their depreciation curves a little, probably 5 to 10% or something of that sort. For say like more of like a, kind of commodity, economy Toyota or something.
Well, that's what they say. Like was it Dave Ramsey or someone was saying that like, buy, if you want, if you're thinking dollars here, you're not thinking, luxury, not thinking, you're just thinking like best value. Like, where's your money going to be invested in? You need to get the best investment back out of the car you buy. Then get something like, a few-year-old Toyota or Honda or something like that. Something that's not going to depreciate. Something that's going to, it's a good value and doesn't depreciate like a freaking rock falling to the bottom of the ocean, So that's kind of like, there's a formula, mathematical formula to that, to figure that stuff out.
No, 100%. Yeah. And if that, a buyer really has to like keep in mind what's important to them. And yeah, like if you're, I'd say really, if you aren't, the biggest thing about depreciation that hurts a lot is if you, and some people kind of look at this negatively, but if you're not really looking to keep a car for a long time, if you're one of those that kind of likes to get you have the ability and you like to get a car, every 2 to 3 years or so, leasing is a great option. I love that you brought that up because that gets talked about a lot. Like, leasing is actually a pretty good option for people that know that they do like to change ownership of cars pretty often. But, for these high initial purchase cars, knowing that if, you sell your car within 2 to 3 years, like, you're probably going to lose a lot of the value. It a lot of times kind of lends to going lease route. Like, if you do think you're one of those that owns a car for 5, 10, 15 years, depreciation, I feel like, is not always that much of a factor to you because you just know, okay, yeah, like at the end of 10 or 15 years, like, yeah, my car is going to be worth way less than it was initially. That doesn't bother you as much. But I think, duration of ownership is a big factor too. If you want to have that ability inherently to just be able to switch cars and get into something newer, every 2 to 3 years, like, a lease probably makes a lot more sense to you than you paying outright, and then obviously taking that depreciation hit when it's time to start looking at the next car.
But there are some people that like literally have to have the latest and greatest stuff. Yeah. If you go to your phone carrier, like I was
literally going iPhone mentality.
But I have an iPhone. I've had iPhone since forever. And I have not gotten the latest and greatest iPhone every year. I've skipped many generations. And I know that with my phone plan, I think it's the plan where you can upgrade you can turn your phone in, upgrade early or some crap, whatever, every year. So basically every year, if I wanted to, every year I could take my phone in, get a new one or whatever, but I don't, but I know people do. And that's why they have that plan, is because there are people out there that have to have the greatest and latest phone and the greatest and latest car every single year. They have to have a new car. They just have to have a new phone. They just have to have the new computer, the new whatever, so on and so forth. And I know that the companies know this. That's why they offer trade-in plans or upgrade plans or whatever kind of stuff, because people do that all the time. So, but I don't think a lease would work out for me because I like to keep stuff for a while. Maybe that's my problem, I mean, I like having new stuff, but I also like making sure the stuff I did buy, I use it and it lasts. Because when every vehicle I've had, every off-road vehicle I've had, every device I've had, I guess, that I spent a lot of money on, I just like to use it and have it and try to get the most out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I definitely feel like I'm in that camp as well. Just, I mean, car I've owned the longest now at this point, I've owned for 7 years now at this point. Car, my Z, when I had it, I owned it for about 6 or 7 years. My outlook with the N is that time frame, probably more than that as well. So, I did have maybe short-lived cars, my FX. It was surprised actually that I ended up selling that after 2 years. But, that car again, it was already, 20 years old really at this point now. So it already had a lot of its depreciation, really taken care of at that point. But yeah, I think you really just have to kind of weigh up like what type of person you are. Like, again, if you have that ability to change vehicles often and that you have to have that latest tech, like, just really evaluate that going into it, because you can get in a situation if the value's just not there and you're all into it, you just kind of have to swallow that bullet if you really want to then move to the next thing and you're not willing to hold on to it longer until like the values level out or you can trade into something of equal value,
Right. I mean, I guess it depends what situation of life you're in too. I mean, if you are a single guy and you want to get the latest 2-door sports car, go right ahead. What do you need backseat for? You're not going to kids, you know? But if you did have a family, you had like, wife and 3 kids, then you're probably looking at something bigger, like a bigger SUV or a minivan or something like that, or a 4-door truck or something like that, Yeah. So I guess it all depends. I mean, when I bought my first F-150, I went from a smaller Nissan truck, like 2-door, a little extra, like the little suicide doors in the back, to a 4-door crew cab F-150 because I had a kid and another kid on the way. And I needed a like family style car, but I still love trucks. And I was like, well, if we get the truck, it kind of serves both purposes. You can use still to do the truck stuff, and it's still the family car because it can carry, all the family and all the stuff and all that stuff too. So for me, it was kind of like a multi-purpose car. I guess kind of like with you and your N, how it's kind of like a multi-purpose car. It's a fun car, but you can still haul the people, the family around and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Versus like, say you were to buy just like the new Z or whatever, or something like that, or new Corvette or whatever.
That's just your fun car. Yeah.
Right, 100%. But there's a lot of people out there I know that have a 2-door car, whether it's a Corvette or whatever, a 2-door sports car, and it is their everyday car because they just have the one
That's
car.
what their lifestyle dictates. Yeah.
100%.
They're able to do that. Yeah.
100%. So that being said, dude, what kind of cars are you looking forward to moving here into 2026?
Yeah. No, I mean, maybe starting that list out, really one particular, there's 3 cars really, because I'll just throw it out there. I think Toyota's offering of some of their their GR cars, their GR sport
Wait a second. Are don't you mean Subaru?
See, you didn't hear? They don't like each other as much as they used to anymore.
What? Drop that. What I missed?
They don't have as strong of a symbiotic relationship as they used to.
They just borrow each other's parts. That's what it is. They just borrow. I'll borrow this. You guys don't need this, dude. I'll borrow this, dude. Thank you.
You guys aren't using that. They really, Toyota's really started to kind of take their own reins with a lot of their a lot of their cars in general. But
and BMW with the Supra, are they still doing that?
They are still doing that. So that's, that they really do. They enjoy that relationship. I guess they enjoyed that relationship more than Subaru's relationship. So they still have the GR Supra is what they're calling it now. But those are the 3 cars on the list, actually, just kind of in this segment, particularly the GR Supra. I mean, people really, really love that car. The
GR, is that the 4-cylinder or the 6-cylinder?
So they have both.
Are they both called GR?
Yeah. They still call both.
How do you know which one's which? Just the size of it?
Yeah, they just designate whether it's the 4-cylinder or the straight 6.
But I think the 4-cylinder version is slightly smaller. Like if you put them side by side, I think they're slightly smaller than the 6. I thought.
Oh, you mean in body shape?
The size of the vehicle, yes.
I think they're the same. Like,
are
overall,
you sure?
yeah. Because it's like the old thing with what was the other car that they did that with? It was I'm always going to Infinitis because that's my main reference point. But the M series cars, they had a V8 version and they had a V6 version, the one that I have. And they're the same car, like everything.
The same chassis and body, right?
Same chassis, same body, same everything. But if you ever look under the engine bay of like a V8 one, you can tell like they maximize every square inch of under the hood.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like the V6 has like the V6 Mustang and the V8 Mustang and things like that.
Yeah, they don't change the chassis really.
I could have swore I saw one of those Supras and it looked so tiny. I was like, this must be the 4-cylinder version. It looks so tiny. Versus
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about this, funny enough, and my wife we don't really talk cars a lot, but, going to the auto show, that's the only thing there. So we do actually kind of talk about it a little bit, but the Supra itself, profile wise, it is actually kind of a small car. Like it's not very wide overall. Like it's a kind of skinny car. And like when you're up, like when you compare it to some modern cars too, like it has a pretty short wheelbase as well. So, I mean, again, side by side, like if you had like a V6 and a 4-cylinder, I don't think that there's any difference, but just in general with like, the common new car, like it still is kind of a small car, which I think is a pretty big feat in the days where people were saying like everything's getting super big and super bloated. The fact that they've been able to keep it sort of condensed in this kind of, this small package.
Well, I do like the sports cars from Toyota they have. I've always liked Toyota stuff. I always liked the first gen Supra and the older second gen Supra, and of course the Mark IV Supra. And
Mark IV Supra big,
and of course, I always liked that for like that bubbly look. I think in the '90s, a lot of cars and even trucks too, like the F-150 and like the Ford Ranger, all went to like that bubbly look. I think I don't know if Toyotas did that much, but I know the Supra had that bubbly look and that big like wing on the back that kind of went up just right above the roof line. Like if you looked at the back window, you could see through the wing. It had
what you would still classify today as like a big wing, even back then. Like it the wing on those were still pretty big, even like to today's standards, which was pretty interesting.
Right. I remember seeing those and I'm like, that's a pretty cool, slick looking car, and stuff. And I know they're super expensive and all. I also love the Z too. Don't get me wrong. I love the 300ZX and all that kind of stuff. But you're saying today that the little flat four, is it called the GR? What do they call that car now? It's just the it's not. First of all, it was the FRS. Now it was a BRZ. Now what do they call it? What do they call it now?
So GR? Now it's called the GR86.
GR86.
Yeah,
okay.
I would love to see if like in any car's history, if like that car has like been the one with the most name changes in its lifespan. Because I mean, and again, like not even counting the fact that Subaru had like the FRS, but
they had BRZ.
And then they had the Scion version, didn't they?
Yeah, Scion was Toyota's brand. Scion was Toyota's like cheap, like fun brand for like the kids to get involved in cars. It was like, come on, kids, I'll make you some fun, customizable car. But the XB
I still wanted a Scion TC. Like when I was in college, I really wanted a Scion TC.
The front end of the TC, if you squint and you don't know what you're looking at, it almost looks like a GTR.
I'm gonna have to look out for one and make sure I do that.
like if you're squinting and look at it, like it kind of looks like a GTR. If you're gonna put a GTR badge like right in the middle of the grill there, dude, GTR.
Right you want to make people think you got a GTR. Like,
there you go. Well, that's why I thought they were cool when that model came out that looks like that. I'm like, yeah, the car kind of looks like a GTR in the front end of it, And so I had that kind of similar design, the front nose and the front lights and the way the hood kind of fit. And so, but it was, but anyways.
But one thing on that front real quick with the GR86 particularly though, just with us kind of talking about depreciation and everything. I mean, just in today's, new car economy and everything, like that's I feel like is one of the best cars that you can have like a good amount of fun with, enjoy, even for like 2 to 3 years, and still be able to sell it for not that big of a hit. Like, yes, naturally it's going to lose value, but
every car does, dude.
That's what's supposed to happen. I remember I was, a lot of people talked about how people kind of with COVID got used to this mentality that the car is supposed to gain value.
Oh yeah, well that's back when selling these cars for super
exactly
expensive.
Yeah, like anybody, like people I think have gotten more back to reality with that, but some people felt like that was normal, which we all knew it wasn't. But in terms of percentage value of depreciation, like a car like that, like again, the GR86 and even the Supra too. I mean, I've been looking at values of those, like the older generation selling, and people still really like those. Like, you were saying how you like the bubbly shape of the Mark IV and things like that. Like people have still, even with the whole BMW engine and all of that, like they've still enjoyed that to the point where they're still holding their values pretty strong. And the GRs are just priced in an area where, you own it for 2 or 3 years, you paid say 35 grand. Like you can probably still sell it for like 29, 30 grand, like 2 or 3 years from now.
Right. And that's great. That's a good spot to be in. I mean, I did that with my Z, I put a bunch of money into it, but I was able to sell it for pretty much what I paid for it. I think like maybe 5 years later, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, that was a situation where that actually happened. You don't see a lot of 370s on the road. You do. I mean, but I don't think you see them as much as maybe other cars. I mean, look at like a BMW, 3 Series,
You see those everywhere. Yeah.
Right. Or Teslas or, anything like F-150s for God's sakes, they're like everywhere. Nothing special about that really, but so you like the Toyota sports cars and you'd pick one of those things up. Which one? Okay. Money, no object. Which one do you buy? With the top dog or what?
Because we didn't throw in the mix the GR Corolla, because that's also part of
three banger they got.
Dude, don't sleep on them. I'm not even gonna. I won't even allow you to sleep on that car.
The question I have: do you buy your exhaust system at Home Depot lawnmower section, or do you go to like?
Oh man, you're gonna let me have it with these small motors,
or do you just like a guy just like blowing on?
All you need is you just go and get like just the conduit, like just conduit piping and just like run that to the back.
Yeah, that's what I figure. I mean that's what happens, right?
Well,
Depot.
Well, again, I still your what's it called? 2 liters are for sodas. Being that you sent me still lives rent free in my mind. But I'm telling you, man, 300 horsepower, 3-cylinder engine with all-wheel drive, 300 horsepower.
Now are these real human horsepower? Is this real horsepower?
These are ponies.
Or are we talking horsepower for like Smurfs?
Yo, these are moving horsepower.
Get out of here with that. No way.
All-wheel drive. No, these things are crazy, man.
Way. There's 2 motors in this thing, or just the one? One for the front and the back?
Every cylinder. Well, I remember too where we were talking about, what's the boost level on that? Like, I would be curious what the boost level is on that to get that amount of horsepower out of it. But I have not seen any information on those vehicles. No YouTube channels, no dyno tests, no nothing. So I literally know only you don't see. That is a good point. You don't, and you might get roasted in some comment section or something about that, being like, oh yeah, there's all this information out there. You guys are just missing it. But I do admit that I don't see a lot of people really kind of putting like facts and figures out there about like really how these cars are performing long term and everything like that. But
what's the liter size on that? It's like 1.2 or something. 1. What is it?
0.9. Like
what is it? Is it less than a liter?
No, it's a 1.6 liter, which is actually
wait for 1.6 liter. That's actually big. Yeah. Because
for 3-cylinder is pretty big.
Yeah, because I know that the Honda Civics were like 1.6, like the old Civics. They were like 1.6, I believe. I think.
But they were a 4-liter.
Right. No, 4-cylinder. 4-cylinder.
Yeah, 4-cylinder. Yeah,
right. Sorry. But I think the Integra was a 1.8 liter, if I remember correctly. I think it was the old classic Integras. 1.8, I believe. But and they had 1.6s in the Civics. The Civic Si that I test drove, actually wanted to buy one. It was like around the year 2000, 2001. They had a 1.6 liter. I remember it specifically because they made a big deal that it had 160 horsepower. So it basically had like 100 horsepower per liter. And this is non-turbo too.
You want to guess what the stock boost level for GR Corollas is, which obviously is probably peak to get you to that 300 horsepower?
Well, okay, before you say that, what is your stock peak in your N?
220 PSIs is stock boost level.
22?
20.
Oh, 20.
Yeah.
Okay. So for that, is it up to 30?
No, not quite, but it's getting there.
Like 28?
26.
26?
Yeah. So... But for a stock boost level, I'm pretty. I mean, now with mine being tuned, like I max it probably like 23. But I mean, stock to be 25 to 26, that's a lot of boost.
Well, dude, how else do you think you get that horsepower?
Well,
engine that could. Come on now.
I'm leaning into your four banger mentality. But yeah, that really is the only way. Like you add that boost in, you get those, what they call it, the turbocharger, you get those snails spinning.
And coming up next, they're going to do a 2-cylinder, a two-cylinder one. Watch.
A 2-cylinder. Yeah, well, just take a motorcycle
with 50 pounds PSI.
Yeah.
It's basically like it's blowing through, blowing fast as it can through the thing. So
for anybody out there that's Chris and does not like those really small motors, get you a Supra because it has a real big boy in there, even though it's only a straight 6, not a V8. But for us guys that like those little engines that could, I like the GR Corolla.
Hey, they're fun. Listen, they're fun. I've driven 4-cylinders myself. I've driven them all. I've never driven a 3-cylinder. The only 3-cylinder.
That's
the only 3-cylinder I remember ever coming out was the Geo Metro, and that was a 3-cylinder, and it had like I think maybe 90 horsepower.
80 or 90 horsepower, yeah.
And it sounded like a 3-cylinder. My dad rented one once, and he rented it or got it as something. I forget. Anyways, we drove the thing. And we're pulling this hill, like, on this grade, and it's just, like, screaming. The engine's like, wee! Screaming, the tires going up the hill, and everyone's passing us. I remember the thing, And I'm like, oh, yeah. But it gets like 50 miles a gallon, and everyone's excited about that. So
as long as you're not going uphill majority of the time.
Downhill. That's the thing, like, if you're going down, it's great. But, I don't know. I mean, that's like a fun car. I guess the purpose of that, was it the Corolla you said? The Corolla, the 3-cylinder one?
The GR Corolla, yeah.
The GR Corolla. I guess the purpose of that would be just to have like a rally kind of car, right? It's all-wheel drive.
It was, yeah.
Just a rally, fun rally car. Now, would that compete directly with the old Lancer or with the Subaru STI, or are they even in the same class?
I would definitely say they are. Yeah, like the Subaru, the WX. I guess they didn't do the STI this generation, so they had like the TR or one of those. I can't quite remember, but yeah, it's definitely in that class of like the Lancer Evo, the WRX kind of family. I feel like so. I mean, the Golf R is also kind of in that realm too, because it's all-wheel drive. But yeah, definitely that more rally style, like all-wheel drive feel.
But maybe they do it like that because, I mean, if you think about trying to win a race, like a rally race or any kind of long distance race, the less fuel stops, the better, I would think. Or if you can get further on the fuel, then maybe that's the purpose of doing it like that. Maybe if you think about it, because
with all-wheel drive specifically,
no, I mean, the 3-cylinder
platform of the Corolla.
The 3-cylinder. Maybe. I mean, I don't know what the fuel mileage is on the thing, especially in a race format. I don't really know, but I would think it'd probably be better on gas than maybe the 4-cylinder or something bigger. Maybe.
Well, and just a bit lighter, like even with it being a 1.6,
and of course, But I don't know. You said the 1.6 liter out of 3-cylinder, those pistons gotta be big.
Yeah,
they gotta be big pistons. They gotta be much bigger than a standard 4-cylinder size piston.
It'd be a good thing to explore, like really because I mean, again, they have a 4-cylinder that they have in the GR86, but again, they never turbocharge it. Everybody's been saying like if you turbocharge this thing, like you're gonna you put it in a level where it's like really like competing. But I feel like it's not really the ethos of that car to be like kind of super powerful little sports car. It's really meant to be like just super capable. Yeah, I mean now the new one has 230 horsepower, but it's a small car, so it still can move, and it's really definitely more for handling.
Lightweight. If you have like even with 100 horsepower in a car that weighs like a few hundred pounds. I mean, it's like motorcycles. Everybody on like a crotch rocket motorcycle, that thing probably doesn't weigh very much, but you probably get like 100 horsepower or more on something like that on 2 wheels. You fly. You're flying in that thing.
I mean, you talk about it all the time. You get on a 1,000cc bike, like again, that it only has maybe like 180, 200 horsepower, but I mean, that thing is a monster. Like, again, a car is different just because you have just totally different weight profiles. But yeah, power to weight is like a pretty big factor that, again, at the end of the day, you usually can't overcome like a big, powerful car like that has like 500 plus horsepower with something that only has 200 or 300 horsepower. But when you get in a corner situation, a lot of times I feel like that's where you really get the benefit of these like smaller tossable cars for sure.
Right. And now with modern suspension and all that, especially all-wheel drive and things like that. So, these modern cars are really designed to really hug the road, and you got the, lane prevention and all the other, tech and stuff that we all take for granted, I guess, these days. But I think that speaking of the tech and things like that, I think that it does take away a lot of the fun of driving, when your car's beeping at you because you're like drifting over or whatever, or it's all of a sudden slamming the brakes on you before you even like had a chance to react. Like, I was doing that. What do you? So, but I think
you can turn all that stuff off most of the time, right?
I don't know, dude. I mean, I don't think you can. I don't know, dude.
Some of it is like you really have to jump. You have to do a rain dance to like get it to actually shut itself off and like completely shut off like if you want to be one of those people to shut off traction control, like some cars have like a really complicated
Dude, I had to shut that off on my Z because on my tires were slick and the road was kind of wet. That like when you throttle it down, it would slip and then like the car would like not shut down, but it would
cut power.
Oh, it would almost feel like someone's yanking me back. Like I'm trying to run and someone's pulled me by my shirt. So it felt like as I'm trying to go. And it did that. Like, holy crap, it like would jump and slip and like pull back. I'm like, this is not very fun at all. And I can see what people do, turn their traction control off. So moving on from the Toyota world, what else do you have your eye on?
So this one, I know talking about EVs is always a fun topic.
Hey man, you know, my phone is an EV. There you go.
Dude, you got it coming today.
I mean, think about it. My computer's an EV.
Yeah, my computer's an EV. Yeah, we've been using EVs forever. Like they've been around forever. Like no issue. But I thought this was an interesting one because just tell me this candidly. Do you think that the new VW ID Buzz is cool looking? Like
I've always thought the bus, in generally speaking, like the classic ones, obviously that are done really well done and they're restored and all that, are very cool looking. I mean, like I see them, take pictures of them. I think they're super, super cool. I don't know if my glasses has them on. No, I've got these sunglasses that I wear. They're custom made in San Diego and they have different patterns from San Diego. I think one of the patterns you can do on the side of the glasses is that VW classic bus design. Yeah. And I don't think mine has the bear, but I did see the one had the VW bus on it. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Now the electric version of that, I think it's kind of
let's not get into the whole package quite yet. I don't mean to cut you off, but just from I guess just a visual perspective of it, like just the fact that they brought back sort of that design and kind of modernized it. Like, did you? And if you didn't think it's cool, be honest. But I'm just curious if you thought just from a design perspective that the Buzz was cool.
I don't know much other than the basics, but can you get it in different color packages where it's like the two-tone paint and things like that, like the classics people have been doing?
Yeah, no, you can. I think there was some limitation on the ones like on the US based ones, but I believe you still can get those as like, the white on like another color type.
Right.
I believe I've seen some around like that. Like I see a lot of like the white on blue, I feel like stands out pretty often. But yeah, like you still get that too. Some people do like a full color, like, one whole color for the whole thing. But yeah, you still get that bus characteristic of white on another color.
I think they're cool. I think they're cool for like cruising and look at me kind of like, they're kind of practical, but
it's kind of that SoCal vibe.
Yeah. That's what the vibe, a couple surfboards on the roof, kind of a deal. I get it. I totally get that. But that fact they're electric,
that and so that's why I kind of wanted to separate it, because like I think a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but I think a lot of people, including myself, like I thought that the design and everything was done. It was done very well. Like I'd love seeing them on the road. Like
I haven't seen a single one on the road, dude. I only saw one in a commercial for the Super Bowl like last year or something like that. I saw a commercial for one. And then I might have saw one on a website or something, but I've never seen one in person. And I've never seen a YouTube video on any of them. And I've never I know very little. All I heard is they were electric, and that's all I know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe I rephrase the rare occasion where I actually see them on the road, which is similarly, I have seen them a good amount of times, I'll say now at this point, but they're definitely rare to see. Like, it's still a point of like, oh, I'm excited to see one because I really just don't see them around that often. I get excited to see them because I think the design is cool. Unanimously, everybody feels like the overall EV platform that they dropped the ball with it. Like, and
why? But I understand. Okay, everyone's going EV. Why not this? It seems like an obvious choice.
So with this, it's not necessarily that. Like to your point, people knew that it was already going to be an EV. People aren't really upset about that. But the range, just the overall, the battery technology, a lot of people are not as thrilled about how it was executed. Like they thought size wise, packaging wise, they could have done more with it, particularly with range. Like if you're using it like in a city situation where you're not driving a lot, it does work. But just like a 90 kilowatt hour battery and the range, if you're really like driving the thing and doing a lot of highway miles, overall, it's not a very aerodynamic design.
Well, it was supposed to be, at least the original one, I thought was more like the road trip car. It was like the camper car, the road trip car. We're going to go cruise the country and in our little like VW thing or whatever.
Yeah. And for the EV version to not really be able to perform at that level, mainly because, again, I think they're rated range-wise at like 250 miles range.
Yeah, going downhill,
like
the wind behind you.
Yeah, if you're on a freeway, there was a reviewer that actually bought one of these. Him and his family use it a lot, but they don't do a lot of highway long road trips or anything like that. Use it a lot in the city, but he talks about like if they're ever going like on a longer highway stretch, the design like it's literally like a wall driving into the wind. Because it's just this, it's basically
it's like pulling a trailer. It's like pulling a travel trailer, the old travel trailers, not the Airstreams, but the classic, typical wall kite, catch the wind, all that.
So automatically, like your range is going straight down, when you're on any long kind of highway stretches. And that's unfortunately like a lot of times what people are going to want to use it for, because that was what people used the old bus for was, we're hauling it. We're, going camping or doing something like that. And that's really where I think a lot of people it's fallen short of people's expectation. And the interesting thing I was reading about it recently is that Volkswagen basically at this point, they invested so much in the car, building it, and everything and bringing it to market that it's not as though they were just going to scrap it in its first year because it just came out this year. But they have officially said that they're going to pause any new production of the car until 2017 or 2027.
Man. We didn't chance to play with it yet. Took it away from us already. Come on, man.
They're taking it away. It seems like it's confirmed now at this point that they're waiting until 2027 for a new release of it.
Yeah, gas version, hopefully, with a 3-cylinder.
Yeah, I mean funny thing about about Volkswagen with their whole ecosystem is they're one of the ones that have had a 5-cylinder engine for a while, or Audi has had the 5-cylinder engine. And, Volkswagen, and them obviously have had, they own each other. And so they've kind of done a lot of part swapping and engine swapping. And unfortunately, Audi is doing away with its 5-cylinder engine to now move towards Volkswagen's 4-cylinder engine because they're able to produce the same amount of power. Everybody loves the 5-cylinder.
Less parts, same money, save some money.
Yeah, from a business perspective, it makes total sense.
Unless the factory's already set up for it. If the factory's already designed, they're cranking the engines out because reconfiguring a factory, I mean, to a whole new power plant, whole new thing, that's a lot of money too. Just configuring it, So that's why a lot of these power plants keep getting cranked out. Like remember the old, the Nissan Infiniti engine that I had in the Z, the VQ engine. It was like everything. Mm-hmm. That VQ engine version for the truck and for the new Murano and all the different cars had a VQ version, and the Z too. And so make it once and just put it in everything. It's like it's a simple business plan. So I guess getting rid of an engine, whatever they got to do
from a business perspective. Yeah.
But are you saying that you would own and drive one of these things?
This one was one of the ones where it's like I thought it was cool. Like I was definitely interested to hear that they were pausing production and realizing that they made some mistakes that they wanted to try and correct, but it just doesn't fit my particular lifestyle. Like I think I would get an old bus and just convert it and just do my own thing with it.
Prices on those, by the way?
Old buses are flying up because everybody knows about them now, which is unfortunate. But I mean, it's kind of pricey to get yourself into an old bus, let alone like convert one. There's a little VW thing, a little VW car meet that happens like every other Friday right down the street from us. And some of the bills that you see are just absolutely insane. Like, just turning the whole thing, like they have like a full on like, table seating setup with like a TV between you and like
it's
the
like
driver's seat.
MTV Cribs came into town,
It's
right?
like MTV Cribs style VW bus stuff. And
I can imagine.
again, because like now people have realized just how capable these platforms are to just do whatever you want. They're no longer just like this kind of cheap option of just like, I want something that I can like load up the family and go camping or something. Like it's now a lifestyle and like kind of a luxury item.
It's like, you ever seen like those miniature houses and mini homes when they're like, they put all the different things and all the bells and whistles in them, and they got all these different platforms and things. And if they're done very well and very elegant, they can look super cool. And I think some of these cars, like some of these VW buses, can do the same trick in making a small space look like an apartment building or whatever, kind of a deal.
Lighten up the wood, because you see them with like lighten up the wood floors, like paint the interior like a light color. They already have like the panoramic windows, so like they're already kind of light and airy, so they feel a lot roomier maybe than they really are, and so like it's totally conducive to that like kind of miniature lifestyle kind of feel.
Dude, I think they're pretty cool. I mean, how reliable they are, I have no idea, but I mean they look super super slick, and they pretty much say California vibes when you see them rolled when they're done right, of course.
Yeah. But as for
great.
the EV one, like I said, I don't personally see that one in my garage. Like it's
that would even fit in the garage. It's too tall, right?
They're not that tall. Well,
the original ones were. I thought they were like really tall. I thought
a little bit. Yeah, I feel like they're probably like like a typical kind of pickup truck height. Maybe I'm wrong, but probably like a typical kind of pickup truck height. So in a typical garage, you probably could get one in there. It's like right up at your ceiling, maybe. But you're talking anything bigger. I don't know. I don't want to go too long on this, but there is one other car / SUV that really is actually on my list of cars.
Ooh, what do we got? What do we got?
That I would, and I've talked about this before, but Infiniti, I guess I'm just kind of going on record as being like the import guy.
You're the Infiniti guy. I'm gonna get you. I love Infiniti t-shirt wherever you go.
Yeah. Give Infiniti. I love like all of my import Infiniti cars. I love my four cylinders.
I was looking at Infinitis tonight online and used cars. I'm looking at different Infinitis, and I like them too. Of course, I grew up with Nissans, and I own two Nissans now, both similar power plants, and you had the Infiniti, and so. We have the Infiniti still, but what do you got from Infiniti that you see coming down the pipe that you are super hot for?
So the big daddy of them all, the big QX80 / like the Nissan version, the Armada SUV is one car that I talk about all the time, just because, as again, guy with family and with, needing that extra space, like, it offers a lot that, really ticks a lot of boxes. Like,
and they are very nice cars, dude. They have all the bells and whistles you can think of in a full size SUV. I think now don't you like wood grain everywhere, and they're very plush. I think even the steering wheel has got like the wood grain in the steering wheel too. They did.
Their top autograph, has all the leather, a lot of wood, center screens.
Do they still do the clock in the center of the dash still under the vents?
I think so. I looked at the new one. I didn't look particularly for that, but
that's one thing I was doing it up in the last one. Like every Infiniti I've been in had like that like that little clock, like analog clock looking thing, somewhere like in the middle. Was it Infiniti? I'm thinking it must have been Infiniti. I'm pretty sure it was Infiniti that did that.
It's kind of like a luxury car kind of hallmark. So I feel like a lot of like the top tier one, but it is definitely an Infiniti thing. Like both, the FX that I had and the M has that. And it was the G's have it because they had like a similar, kind of center console layout or dash layout. But that's definitely an Infiniti thing for sure. The one thing that I think a lot of people that maybe are into trucks and things like that would be interested in is, do you know what the towing capacity on the bigger, even the last gen QX80s, like
what
their
talking
towing capacity were?
They were V8s, right?
So they were V8s, and we'll get into that because I do want to bring that up as a separate point.
But then they have like for a hot minute they were doing a Cummins diesel. I thought they had, at least in the Titan, which is what probably shares the power plant for this.
Maybe in the Titan, I don't remember it being in the QX80.
I think they got issues with it or something. It was a weird Cummins engine. It was like a Cummins V8 5-liter, some weird goofy thing like that. And I don't know if how well it lasted or whatever. I know that I think they're using V8s. They're not using Turbo 6s like Toyota is, I don't think, or are they?
So like I said, I'll get into that, but they are. Yeah, they.
Oh, they are now. Okay.
They've moved to that, which is an interesting point. But yeah, their towing capacity. Any guess on how much they can tow?
I know that SUVs usually can't tow as much as trucks can, just the way they're not designed that way. But they usually have a pretty good frame, and I think they're usually, if you look at a towing capacity of a pickup truck and use their counterpart SUV, which is pretty much the same thing, usually the towing is a little less on the SUV version. So I'm going to say roughly around 10,000 pounds.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, well, we'll be a little less than that. That's actually a really good kind of reference point because me kind of getting more into the truck world and things now. I'm learning more about trucks and everything. But yeah, it's less than that. You're
9,000?
About 8,500.
8,500. Okay. Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah.
I probably overshot because I wasn't sure what kind of motor they have. Some of these new trucks brag they can get like 13,000 pounds of towing capacity or whatever,
Yeah.
So like, I'm not even sure what my truck is. I thought it was 10. I don't really even know. But see, it depends on the configuration. It depends on at least on Ford. There's a manual on my Ford truck. It's like, depending on what chassis you have and what setup you have and what all those different things you have and gearing you have and even like the gear ratio, what kind of you have depends on your towing capacity. And did you know that the Ford Raptor, even though it has more horsepower than my truck, the Ford Raptor, not the R, but the regular Ford Raptor, tows less. A lot less.
Oh, wow.
Because of the suspension setup and things like that. So
all of that factors in.
Correct. And I think with an SUV, because you have that actual weight over where the chassis, or I guess the body over where the frame is, and they use the same frame. It all depends. And the same thing goes for like the Dodge Rams that I think today are still using that coil spring, rear suspension versus a standard leaf spring suspension. Because of that, I believe that their towing capacity is slightly less than something like a Chevy or a Ford. So engine size has nothing to do with it.
It's not always that. Yeah.
It has to do with the actual suspension and the frame of the vehicle and all that stuff. The frame is like the backbone of your towing. So a really good solid frame will help you pull and tow more than other vehicles. But although if you really, really, really wanted to, you could tow the same thing with that little Toyota Corolla thing with 3 cylinders if you really, really wanted to. I don't know how well it probably would not. I mean, you probably could do it. I mean, for God's sakes, they pulled the space shuttle with the Toyota pickup truck across the bridge.
Was it like the Toyota Hilux or something?
No,
like that?
it was the regular Toyota, full size Toyota pickup truck, the Tundra. It was a big thing when they moved the space shuttle across the bridge in LA. There was a whole thing about it where actually I seen that Toyota on display at the Science Center in LA. And yeah, they have it on display there. But anyways, they said they got it from the dealership. They hooked it up to the hitch, put it in low. I think they put 4-wheel drive low, locked it in 1 gear, 4-wheel drive, whatever. And they went literally 1 mile an hour. I mean, really, really slow. But it moved it. It moved the weight. And it's 200-something thousand pounds for the space shuttle and the rig it sat on. 250,000 pounds. It moved it. And
I'm going to have to look that up.
And the truck really is only rated for 10,000 pounds or whatever, right? Towing capacity. But in theory, you physically can move bigger objects. If you just initially what really happens is that when you're towing something, the hardest part is just the first momentum getting it going. Just that first, it's like when you're pulling something, like pulling a wagon or pushing a wheelbarrow or anything like that. It's that first, just get it going. But then you constantly, once you get it rolling, keeping it rolling is much, much easier. Not much power is being used. It's that initial, assuming everything's flat land, of course. I mean, uphill, different story, but yeah, it's kind of how it worked. But that Toyota, I thought was pretty impressive. They were to pull that thing. But then it got me thinking, I guess almost every truck can do that, really. So with an SUV, it's different than towing with a pickup truck. But I mean, 9,000, it's 8,000 pounds it was?
8,500, yeah. Yeah, I kind of mapped it out. Because I've always thought about, if I had a track car and say I'd want to really turn the end into the track car.
If you had a track car, what would that weigh plus tires and whatever gear and tanks and gas, that kind of stuff? What do you think I would weigh? And a trailer. What do you think all that would weigh?
Yeah, like I mean, like a trailer, what was probably say 1,000 pounds. I mean, maybe less.
I don't know,
like,
maybe.
So like call it 1,000 pounds. I really don't think it would be maybe if it was 1,500. Like I think that would be.
Well, the track car would probably weigh what, maybe 2,000 pounds, 3,000 pounds.
Well, I'm saying like even because I know guys like they'll gut out their their like Elantra ends. Like I know guys that like do it actually. Like they'll gut out their Elantra ends. Like that's their track car. Like they got the track tires and everything. And that car weighs 3,100 pounds. You gut it out and like you're probably
don't forget
in like
fuel and oil. Fuel and oil and coolant.
Well, the thing with that, you can yeah. I get they do a wet weight of it, which I think is where they get like the 3,200 pounds from as like the wet weight stock. So like, I mean, give or take, like, yeah, maybe throw in like another 100, 200 pounds. But I mean, if the trailer,
that probably would hold. I mean, that would probably,
yeah, like you could do that.
Yeah.
which again, that's where my mind goes is like, oh yeah, it'd be cool to have like a family car, like a family SUV that can also tow like, the track car if I wanted to. Like that 8,500 pound threshold kind of gets you there.
But one thing you got to realize though, when you do tow heavy loads with any vehicle, is your fuel mileage sucks up.
Yeah,
it's
and
like
you got to do your oil changes a lot sooner.
Yes, you do. My ex-wife was towing a lot with her Ford Explorer and for her business, and we got a hitch for it, and she was towing things around. And one day we're driving down the road or whatever, and all of a sudden her like oil light came on and saying like 1% oil life left. Like what do you mean? I just changed it. But she was doing a lot of towing. She was doing a lot of towing, and it eats up your oil, eats up all your stuff. It definitely probably messes your transmission up too. I'm sure it can't be healthy in your transmission. Been doing a lot of towing. I can't imagine it. It probably hurts.
You got to service a lot of that stuff a lot sooner. Which 100% definitely a factor there. But yeah, no, I mean, that was just something that came to mind when I was thinking about it. But to your point earlier, where we were talking about engines, for forever they've been using like a 4-liter V8 in those.
Are you really? I thought they shared the same engine as the Titan.
I don't. Yeah, because what does the Titan have?
It had a 5.6. I don't know what they use now, but it was a 5.6.
No, yeah. So you're right. Yeah, it was a 5.6 or 5.7, something like that. Actually, so you're right. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking 4-liter V8. I know Audis and I think we were talking Audis and BMWs earlier, and I know a lot of times they use those. But yeah, no, you're right. 5.6 or 5.7 liter V8. They had the same ones, and so they produce like 400 horsepower, and they've been using those forever. So I mean, they've worked out the kinks. Like they're super reliable. They're used in like the Nissan Patrol and like overseas and like in the UAE and like all of those places like that. So like they're really like bulletproof motors. But this generation, the one that they have just sort of revealed that is going on sale now, they've moved to a straight six-cylinder, which funny enough, we always talk about, little engines that could, this 6-cylinder, I think peak horsepower in it is like 450 horsepower.
What? Is it not turbocharged or it is turbocharged?
It is turbo. Yeah.
So I think as we start seeing numbers like that out of like a smaller engine, you just have to assume that's either supercharged or turbocharged. And I think most things are going turbocharging these days.
They are, yeah. Supercharging is rare. Yeah. Like it's rare to kind of see a supercharged car nowadays. Like there are a few.
Like the Mustang GT 500 or whatever it is and things like that.
But usually that's like for performance. Like a lot of times a lot of times for your like more regular used cars, like they're going for like twin. And actually it's a twin turbocharged 3.5 liter.
Well, there you go.
6, and it might not be a straight 6. I think it's a V6. So it might actually be derived a bit from the Z's engine, probably like a variant of that.
Or the Infiniti's version, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, because you talk about part share, and like they're just Infiniti's trying to get whatever they can, because to be totally honest, as a brand, they've been kind of struggling for a while. So even to be totally honest, like the QX80 compared to just getting like a fully loaded Armada is kind of an interesting situation, because again, like a fully loaded Armada might like have slightly less like of the niceties that the QX80 has.
But what price point though? What are you saving?
You're probably saving like like for like with the full on like models. You're probably saving at least like $20,000.
The $20,000 difference for the top dog Nissan version versus the top dog on the Infiniti version, even though they're typically, I mean, literally on paper, they're the same car.
You're probably, you could probably get like a top tier Armada for like 80, maybe 90 is stretching it. The autograph, QX80 is 112. So,
it just depends what you're really into, man.
It depends.
I mean,
100%.
I'm sure someone that has to wear brands and have to wear like the show the greatest and latest like logos and brands, and you have to have like the watch and the cool glasses and all the Gucci stuff and whatever and all that stuff. Then maybe you want to pay extra for that Infiniti label versus the Nissan label, But I mean, if it's just a car is a car, it's just a tool to haul you and your family, but you still want nice stuff, then maybe the Nissan one's for you because you don't really care about that. You just want to make sure the car does what it's supposed to do. And there's still a nice car. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you roll up in a new Armada that's fully loaded, I mean, everybody's gonna be like, holy crap, nice car.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, unless you go to like some country club in like Santa Fe or something, and you're like, hey, look at my new car. Get out of here with that, or whatever. I mean, I guess it depends on who you hang out with and where you hang out with. Yeah. Maybe if you get to a certain age where you just don't care, maybe you just drive whatever. I always kind of wonder that, like, if I bought a second car, I was talking earlier about a second car. If I bought a used Infiniti, for example, say like a 15, 20-year-old Infiniti or whatever, I'm rolling around in that, I'm not trying to impress chicks in it or like that, but I'm saying I guess.
mean, still some people are gonna my wife, when she drives the M around, has gotten way more compliments than I've gotten in the end, to be totally honest.
There you go.
Some of those older Infinitis still got like a look to them where
the old BMW still. Like, look at all the old BMW. If you look at 2011 BMW, and if it's waxed and washed and looks great, I mean, people are like, oh, nice car, Like I know nothing about it, especially people who know nothing about cars, they're like, oh my gosh.
Which is majority of the case. Like, that's usually it. And so, what do they say? When you want to look like early 2000s rich, like you just find something that looked like really good back in like the early 2000s, early 2010s. And like, a lot of people won't really be able to tell the difference, to be honest. So, I agree. Like if it's, really, if you're one of those that like I want something to fit the needs that I have, but like the brand perception or like all of the like niceties around it like aren't as important to me, like save yourself 20-30 grand. Like I was looking it up, and like a top tier Armada 2026 Armada is it'll top out at like 81, 82. But
is there anything that like nice wise that you say, oh my gosh, I just wish the Nissan had this, but the Infiniti has it instead?
Yeah, and just given that I was at the auto show, I was able to kind of see this firsthand, was the Infiniti did with I think you can get captain's chairs in the back. And again, I'm going to sound maybe really like, stupid about it, but like, you did have the captain's chairs in the back on the QX80. I'm pretty sure you can get the same option for the Armada, but the Armada didn't have a power reclining and basically opening third row. And so you had to basically use like your latch and like pull the seats forward and then get into the back and then use like the little pull bar to close it, like to pull the seats back down to get to the third row. The QX80, the top tier, had like an electronic button where you just push it and the seat comes all the way up. You climb in the back and then you can basically just use the button to then like close it and push the seats back. And then also on top of that, it had a power reclining third row seats. So like the seats actually in like all the way in the third row, the back slides out, but then also like the bottom slide. So you actually can like, get pretty comfortable back there, even with the seats set at like where I would be sitting in the second row. So like there's little electronic benefits that I saw in the QX80 where it's like, again, if that stuff was important to you, like you probably would say like, I'm willing to pay the extra money to like have more like the technology factor of the QX80 versus the Armada. And it probably was really like Nissan's way of saying like, let's keep Infiniti relevant by like giving them these tech features so that people would have possibly an excuse to go to Infiniti.
Yeah,
because,
I wonder if other ones do the same thing. I wonder if like Acura and Honda do the same thing. with their
Which I would imagine. So, I mean, it would only make sense, like, that they would have some, of like the more like creature comforts that like really we don't need, but like would be nice to have, that they would reserve for like their higher brand versus their, I guess you can say their more common brand. But, again, that was definitely
the same thing too, dude. I always thought the exact same thing. I thought like, well, if you were to max out this car, like the Honda Accord or whatever it is, and then you max it all out, and even the nice ones have you would think like all the bells and whistles, they got all the fancy features, and then you go to the Acura version of that car, and then you see all the bells and whistles and all and an Acura label on the dash and stuff. So I always thought you're just paying for the brand. You're paying for the Acura or the Lexus or the Infiniti. You're just paying for that label more than you're paying for the actual car itself. That's what I always thought of,
There is a certain point of that. Like, there's maybe Honda and Acura's, respect, like, they've started to, really kind of tailor some of their more like, their luxury brand cars to, to really kind of, again, feel like luxury. Whereas like the Honda side is like, I just need something to function. Like, I think a lot of brands have started to a lot of brands with these like two-tiered situations have started to really kind of understand the formula. Like, what are the things that we can maybe compromise on one side, but still get sales, versus where we can maybe add those things into these like, these more premium products and charge a premium for them. It at the end of the day, like that's the only differentiating factor between the two. So, they kind of have to have a command over like what are the things that people are going to pay more for versus, what most people are just going to say like, oh, well, I'm not going to pay the extra premium for that. Like this does exactly what I need it to do. Like, my one biggest gripe out of everything though is that companies that decide that they shouldn't have rear climate vents in the back seats of their car because they think that that's like the money that they need to save on, I think is the most ridiculous feature to cut out. Like, I don't care what price point the car's at. Like, it is so easy for them to put rear climate vents in the back seats of cars. And for that to be like the one feature where they said, yeah, we're not going to do that. It kind of it frustrates me.
It's funny you say that. My other F-150 did not have that. It did not have any vents in the back area at all, only in the front. And the new truck I have has got both. It's got vents in the rear and vents in the front, of course. But I did notice that it takes a lot longer with my new truck. I don't remember much of my old truck, but the new one definitely takes a lot longer to blow that heat out of the system before the cool air comes through. Like a long time. I used to drive down my old street for like a while and like blasting this heat coming through until eventually, the AC would kick in. It would take a while to clear it out. I don't have anything to do with the fact they had more vents, circulating through the vehicle.
Like a little channel they had to take it back. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I mean, at a big SUV, most of them now, I think they're in the ceiling. I think my ex-wife's Explorer had them in the ceiling. The vents were in the ceiling. That's where kind of, I guess, the channels run through in the ceiling area.
And I get that that's like a more expensive option. Like, to do that, like to vent it through the top, like you do have to like, invest in having that duct that goes to the top and, venting out. Like that makes total sense. The center console ones though, is like, again, for me, like I'm focusing on like interior livability kind of comfort mods on the end moving forward now. And there's a kit that basically because the Korean models of the car actually have rear climate vents. And so there's a company now that have basically just brought the part that they use on the Korean models and they sell it here. And all you have to do is basically take the duct, and once you pull the center console up, there's literally a vent that goes back there that they close off because they don't use it for the American spec models. You just open that up, you put the channel through it, and then you just install the new vents. And I'm just like, man, that would have just been such an easy thing to do.
But I wonder if you need like a more powerful blower to blow, because now you're blowing in multiple directions. You know what I'm saying? Like I think of a house AC or blower. Certain houses have certain size AC units because of the square footage and how much space they got to move around. I wonder if it's the same thing with that, because now you're blowing more air.
I've heard, yeah, like with a bigger car, I would definitely think so. But I've watched like because anything that I'd like do to that car, I'm like pretty like I want to know like is it worth it? It's been pretty hands down, kind of unanimous that like it makes a really big difference. Like it because it's a small car. Like again, like if it's a bigger car, like I could definitely see it. But for a smaller car, like that doesn't really have that much more cabin space that it's kind of shifting that to. People have said it made like a really big difference. Funny enough, like it's not a lot of times people do it for the AC, for like the cool air. It's a lot of times people that do it in colder climates because they, have kids or they have people that sit in the back seats that need the heat. Because like the opposite effect is like, nobody really wants to sit in the back seat of a cold car with like no like heat source. And so those are the people that I've seen a lot of reviews for. And they said like literally like that it was a game changer. They did that. They put some cup holders in the back and like that's literally just all they needed.
Wow. Uber Ride Express. There you go.
Yeah. I've always toyed around with the idea of doing Uber just for fun in my inn with the car in mode and just see how long it takes me to get canceled on Uber or something.
Oh yeah, I wonder how that works. You got to put it on there as a choice or whatever. I mean, I thought about that too, but I mean,
which one?
I don't know if I could do Uber. I just don't know if I could handle other people.
No,
I don't know if I could do that. They're just barfing in the back of your car and just all the. Some of the Uber drivers I've had have been cool, and some have just been total like they don't want to say nothing to you. They won't say nothing to you at all. They don't even know you exist in the car. They just
Yeah. No, I mentioned I did Uber for a while, like back when I was in college and like right when I graduated college and kind of, finding, regular job and things like that. And there was a point where like I was doing like the actual Uber, like, giving rides to people and like the traditional Uber and, right around, I think COVID and things like that, or right before that, I switched exclusively to doing like Uber Eats. So where like you didn't have, and then actually that's when I switched to DoorDash. I did Uber Eats for a while, but then I did DoorDash exclusively. And it was mainly for that reason. Like I never had any situation where I was like, where I had like, drunk people or like, people making messes in the car and things like that. Mainly because I picked like the hours. Like I knew like I wasn't doing anything like past 8 o'clock. I would always do like kind of like the, morning time or like maybe like afternoon as people were getting off work and things like that. But there was a point where I switched exclusively to Uber Eats, DoorDash, like food delivery because of that reason. Like you just, you never really know who you're going to get in the car. Like I've had some amazing conversations and met some great people doing it, but you do get some of the more sketchier characters. And there was a point where I just decided that I didn't necessarily want to play Russian roulette of like, who's going to be in my car today type thing. Like
that's when your car is literally just a tool. It's not something, it's just a tool. It can't be something that you are going to take the car to coffee this weekend. Yeah. It's just literally a tool. It's funny. I remember we got a ride from the airport once from Uber. The guy had a nice Acura. It was one of the Acura SUV kind of things. He just got the car and like it was maybe, I was talking to the guy and he said it was a big heavyset guy. And I remember big kind of a fat guy and he was riding the thing and he just got the car like a year ago, and he said he had like 100,000 miles on already. And all he did was Uber. He did like Uber. He did all the Uber stuff. Uber, Lyft, whatever you name it. Uber. He did all that stuff. I don't think that he did the Uber Eats. If he did, he ate all the client's food. But other than that, maybe, like he wasn't like in shape really at all. He's the kind of guy that like sits in the car and doesn't leave for a while. Yeah. He's running around. But the thing is, he had so many miles he racked up in his car. So it was a new car, and like. So he just got the thing, and I don't know if he said it was a lease or not, but that's a lot of miles put on your car in like 1 year.
No, that's insane. That's where you get those outliers where you see like, a car that's like a year or 2 years old with like, triple, almost, probably 4 times the miles of like the national average. Where like a lot of times that's usually the case is like they've been using it for ride sharing and like they were, I mean, to be honest, like, I mean, I'm hoping they made a good amount of money doing it. Because, those are probably the ones that really are like doing it full time, like, out there, like they know all of the hot spots and really making a killing doing
nonstop, it. Just running like 8, 10, 12, 15 hours a day, just running around, getting gas, just running around, That's how you do it. That's how you put many miles in the car. And I guess, you got to make money. I guess it's how you got to do it or whatever. But
it's like you could do it a lot. Like, but I mean, at that point, like you could probably get a better ROI if you got like a way cheaper car and did the same thing with it. Like, I would assume that he probably, he probably had payments on the car. You got to factor that in, like,
or if it's a lease, heaven forbid it's a lease.
Oh man, I don't even think that's because usually I got mileage restrictions. So I mean,
right. Or you got to pay extra when you turn it back in. Oh, 100%. You owe us like, $50,000 in mileage or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, dang, I didn't read the fine print on that, did I? Like,
right. Yeah, it's all those little things we think about. I remember when I did pizza delivery with my pickup truck, way before Uber existed, and I got a used pickup truck. And
did you have a little thing on the
No. The company I worked for didn't have that stuff. It's basically you drove around just like Uber. Didn't have an Uber sign, didn't have a pizza sign or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I used the thing nonstop. I put so many miles in that truck. I was using it for pizza delivery. Then I would drive to the beach, and I would drive to school. I drive everywhere else, and I use it for dates and whatever else I would do. So I was basically using that thing nonstop. Putting tons of miles in that truck. And I kind of like hated the fact that like I have this truck that I kind of thought was kind of cool and fun, but at the same time, I'm just beating it to death. Like I'm putting way more miles on the thing than I'm supposed to, like way more than the average. Yeah. And I'm paying payments on the thing. So I can't keep up. I'm going to have a truck with 100,000 miles on the thing in no time. And I have all these payments still left on the vehicle because I'm using it for work and just adding more miles to it. That's one thing, I guess, if you're in sales or if you're driving around for Uber or any of those kind of things, you're actually using your own vehicle that you're paying payments on. You have to keep up with the maintenance and you're just adding more miles to it. And the more miles you put on a car, it's never good to have like a ton of miles on a car. It depreciates the value. Things happen, and you're kind of screwing yourself, really. But I get it. You got to do what you got to do. A job is a job. I mean, if your job is Uber, your job is doing pizza delivery, or whatever your job is, using your vehicle. I get it. In a perfect world, we'd all work from home. Not have to leave the house. I guess in a perfect world. Yeah, that's not my world. I have to drive to work.
So. No, some of us got to do it. But yeah, no, it really, boils down to all of it. I think we can sum all of this up as, whether you're shopping for a new car to just, it's just your car, it's your commuter, like, or it's just, to haul the family around, like, understand like your use case, like your duration of ownership, what your primary uses are going to be, really like research that, don't just jump the gun and then realize like this doesn't fit my lifestyle at all. Like, be cognizant of that.
Yeah, this Miata doesn't fit my family of 5. I don't know what's up with that. I thought it would. It sounded like a good purchase at the time.
Yeah, and then go on like Reddit and things. It's like, man, these salesmen are just out to get you. Like they just get you into something and screw you over. And it's like, well
that's like the worst thing.
Really know what you were looking for.
That's the worst thing. You go to a car lot, even a used car lot, any car lot. If you go there and they say, "What kind of car are you looking for?" I don't know, anything with wheels. Yeah. And you go in with the idea of getting a minivan for the family. You end up with a Miata or something, or whatever.
Know what you're looking for. Know your goal, and if you're ride sharing or doing anything of that sort, do not lease the car. That would be a bad situation.
Oh, unless you're doing it for like a couple of years, maybe a year or something, maybe. But even then, like
I still think you're gonna. I would love to see if there was any case where you would not go over your mileage restriction. And still make it worth it. Like, you probably could if you were only doing like, say, like a couple of rides or a couple of deliveries a day or something. Like you probably could, and you don't have like a regular commute. Like you probably could get away with it with
but the next thing you know, Uber boss is calling, "Hey, Duke, you work this Saturday?" I guess. Or whatever.
Well, that's the thing about Uber and DoorDash. You technically, quote unquote, don't have a boss, which you can go out as needed. That was my main thing. That was why I did it back then.
Well, I know that most like I know there's some companies that will like airport deliveries and things like that, like any kind of like freight deliveries, or kind of like they call it. What do they call it? It's where it's like hot shot deliveries, where they go from one place to the next place, and there's carriers and couriers that deliver stuff and things like that. And so they may have a boss say, "Hey, we need you to work. You have something coming tonight or tomorrow or whatever. Can you be there?" And you go do it and pick up and deliver and things like that. So, and you feel guilty turning them down. I guess I need the money or whatever kind of stuff. So you just go do it, especially if you're out of work. If you're out of work right now and like you have a car and you're just like, by all means, use that car to make some money. You know, if you got a haul, I've done that with my other truck. I put an ad on like Craigslist or somewhere to help haul stuff or move stuff. And some guy hired me to move like a bunch of boxes out of one apartment to the other apartment or whatever in my truck. Yeah. Did that. And, you know, but I got paid or whatever. It wasn't like, it was hard work for, now I think about it, not much money really, but it's better than nothing, you know? And so if you have a vehicle and you want to use it for that stuff, go right ahead, man.
Yeah.
You know, just be careful, you know? I mean, yeah. But anyways, on that note, man, Courage, this has been so fantastic. Back in the seat, back again in the podcast studio. This is the new version of the podcast studio, man. What do you think of the place, man?
No, it's good. I'm glad it's all squared away, and I'm just glad we can keep doing these because it's always great talking cars and getting the conversation going.
This is fantastic, man. And I will see you on the very next episode.